This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
Well, today, Scott McLean at McLean Advisory Group here to share some simple steps that could help preserve your money if the market does indeed take a dive. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be talking about that, also downsizing in retirement, and of course, the mailbag segment later on. But Scott, happy post-tax day, my friend.
Yes, we are shutting down the tax season. Obviously, you have to file some late taxpayers, obviously. But I love it. We're coming to the end.
Yes, absolutely. Well, my friend, something that has been out there. We have news, economists talking about a possible recession. Some people talking about a 40% chance of economic downturn. A lot of numbers out there, a lot of information. But Scott, there, at your firm, how do you help people feel more confident about their financial future? Specifically also in times like this.
You know, Alex, I think about the movie, the shark movie. Dum 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 dum. You remember that movie?
Oh yeah.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
One of the best.
Everyone panics, but not everyone has got eaten. And here's the deal: recessions are part of the economic cycle. It just happens, just like the waves at the beach. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. You can enjoy it. And like I think about this, I think of the diversity. Would be like a buffet. You don't pile on only spaghetti, for those some people listening do, but you've got to really have a game plan for this. And we don't know what's going to happen. Could it be long? Could it be short? Maybe you're thinking about, I'll just get some chicken and eggs, which means stocks that grow and stocks that pay nice dividends. We've spoken about this on our show many times, Oxy. I can tell you, you and I have done a wonderful job just giving people a heads up. And I know there's a lot of people out there screaming, uncle, what do we do and what's happening? This is where your advisor, hopefully he or she has been in contact or sent you an email to calm down. We see what Trump is doing now in this period of time, and it's scaring a lot of people. Now, the question is, I see so many different versions, whether it's MSNBC or going on the internet, Yahoo, or going to Bloomberg, or going to Fox Business, or whatever shows. You've got two different sides, which is almost like the bull and the bear side. They're all fighting each other. It's emotional. And this is where the advisor should be working with you and understanding what your game plan is going to be. And that way you don't like climbing the mountain and you're swinging a yo-yo. You're going up and down. Well, are you staring at the yo-yo, or are you staring at the mountain getting to the top? Because if you're staring at the yo-yo, you're going to trip and fall, you're going to sprain an ankle, and you might want to turn back. This is where the mistakes happen. This is why people give us a call at our studio, Scotty, what's going on? And they give our studios a call at 609-488-4646, which is a great number to call if you want some ideas, maybe what we're doing and how we're, working on this. I just don't want people to panic because, Alex, that the panicking is where you make the worst mistakes by looking at the yo-yo, not focusing on where you're going. And this is where your advisor really needs to step up to the plate, or maybe you call your advisor. I know we sent a video out to all our financial clients, Alex, walking them through what's going on. And we got a lot of thank yous from that. Now, obviously, people are still scared. Some people say, Scott, go to cash. What do we do? I'm not going to beg or bug you to get to cash. And frankly, I think it's a wrong move. But for them, it might be the good move because they can't handle the volatility. And maybe they go into some accounts right now as of, I think it was April 10th, we had some accounts guaranteeing 5.5% on a fixed type of account and for 5 years. Now they could be changing soon. whenever this is aired. I hope it's not re-aired. If it is re-aired, it depending what time. But this is as of 2025 of April. Thinking, okay, are there some good fixed accounts out there? And there are some great tools in the tool chest, like a spare tire, a backup game plan.
Yeah. And Scott, as we're talking today, what are some first steps that people could take? As you know, we're talking about the possibility of a recession in the near future. What are some things you think about as things that people out there, like, what should I do first?
What they need to understand is, what was the game plan? That if they're do-it-yourselfers, what is your game plan? When I say game plan, what strategies have you invoked in case something like this happens? Because it happens all the time.
Right.
Number two, what is your financial advisor and you have discussed? Maybe you saw the market scream from 2023 to 2025 in February, and then the world fell apart, it seemed. The Trump tariffs kicked in. Did you speak to your advisor? Did your advisor speak to you? Did they send you some heads up? This is number one. Let's have a conversation. Number two, did you change your philosophies? Did you say, look, I want to grow my money. This is for my kids' inheritances. I really don't need a lot. Or maybe your philosophy is, I need to pull income. I just want steady dividends and interest. Maybe your philosophy is the 10-10 rule. Maybe you save 10%, you give 10%, and you live on 80%. And of course, maybe you changed your rules. Maybe that's not right now. I don't know. This is why, again, you have that conversation. The conversation can't be a panic conversation. Many people my age, Alex, we've seen this several times throughout. It always happens. It always will. And it will continue. It's just part of the cycle. The question is, the brain forgets the problems of yesterday. They look at them today. Then they look at the problems of yesterday and they add them to today, and they say, I don't want to go through it again, like 2008 when the market took a major nosedive and people pulled out. Well, it came back from 2008 to 2013. By the way, it came back, but it took almost 6-7 years to come back to norm. And then it took off from there. So again, what is your game plan you have? What is your thought? Do I need the money? Do I not need the money? Can I handle this risk? Can I not handle this risk? Am I sick? How is the estate set up? It's a big picture. It's a matrix of this is why people freak out. They don't have that peace of mind fund. They don't have that, where am I? How can I be safe, Alex? And that's where they need someone to lean on in these volatile times. It's not over. It's not over. I was with my son's grandson's baseball game the other day and talked to a young couple with their kids. I guess I was the old bat in the field. And I was talking, they said, Scott, when do you think the market's going to get better? I think maybe August 2025, maybe when there's all these tariffs maybe calm down. We have to get rid of our debt. We've got to reduce our expenses. But Alex, that was a guess. My crystal ball, like everybody else's, they think they know everything. But again, you have the bull and the bear type of investors. Yeah. I want to try to level-minded. How can we get through this and continue enjoying the sleep at night, enjoying the dividends or interest, or enjoying the going out with the kids and eating, not watching the stock market, right? Or enjoying the grandkids. That's the problem.
Right. Well, and how do you help clients stay calm during times like this? I mean, the market bouncing around, and like we know, I mean, you stay in the market. Eventually, it is going to come back. But like you mentioned, it could. Sometimes it's taken years. And if you're somebody in retirement, near retirement, well, you might not have 6-7 years for the ship to be righted. So what do you tell folks? And I know everybody's situation is different, but how do you help people stay calm?
First, I want to hear what's going on. I want to understand what's really taking place. Maybe they didn't tell me the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say. In other words, maybe their spouse's lights are going dim and they're worried about running out of money or going to a nursing home, but they didn't mention that maybe. Maybe they didn't mention that their children need money, or maybe they're sick. Maybe they didn't mention they're buying a new vehicle or something in the house and they're burning cash, but they're getting nervous. And then all of a sudden they see their account dropping. If they're heavily in the stock market, they saw it drop and they got really scared. I need to know the situation. Step one, I need to know what's really going on that would change your game plan right now. That would change if they're working with us. I want to know really what's going on. I got to dig deep to find out really, Are you nervous? Why are you nervous? What's going on? Whether they like the president or don't like the president. Okay, that's understandable, but life is life. Life goes on.
Yeah.
I need to understand that. And some people make these decisions which aren't really their knee-jerk reactions. And I can tell you that is the worst time. So I want to understand what's going on in real detail. Number two, I want to give them some kind of hope. If they need to change their portfolio, we'll change it. We can make it totally bulletproof with no risk. But with no risk, no reward. You'll have slow, dynamic, slow returns. So there's some ETFs called buffered ETFs out there that will protect you even up to 100%. But your returns are very, very minimal. You see, if you and I were playing cards together with a bunch of our friends, Alex, and you and I made 20% in the market, and your friends lost and they only made 5%, let's say, the loss of 15%, they're going to say, what are we doing? Well, maybe we've taken a lot of risk. Well, when the market's dropping, you and I might have lost 20%, and they might have only lost 5%. Now, they're going to ask, how'd you guys fare out? We may not want to say anything because we're saying, oh, crap, we lost 20% if we sold. My goal, again, is number one, understanding what's going on in detail. Number two, finding out what do you need the money for? Has anything changed? What is really going? And then do we have to put the money into safe positions, whether buffered ETFs, maybe bonds, maybe fixed accounts, CDs, CD links, equity linked CDs. There's some great tools in the tool chest for those people who are not risk. They don't want the risk. They want to be risk adverse. So again, having that discussion with their advisor, and if he or she is offering the same tools over and over and over again, maybe it's time to change, Alex. Maybe it's time to speak to someone else. Maybe it's time to get a second opinion at 609-488-4646. You'd like to have a second opinion. I'd love to talk to you off the air. No cost. Let's have a conversation at 609-488-4646 where we can have that conversation. And if this is a place for you, great. If this isn't the place for you, we're still here for those of you who want a little bit of maybe understanding. But I will ask, George will ask, my advisors will ask a lot of questions before we give an answer. Otherwise, that'd be malpractice, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group, right here in Waretown. And in March, they celebrated 44 years of helping folks in the area. Again, that is Scott and his team, McLean Advisory Group. That number, again, if you do have questions, a lot of people do right now. That number, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Well, we're going to be talking about downsizing in retirement, how that can be smart. And then later on, one of our favorite segments, when we hear questions from you, our great audience, it's the mailbag portion of the show later on. Oh yeah, this is Financial Insanity.
What if you ordered a pizza, but when you opened the box, a couple pieces were missing? That would be upsetting, right? Now think about how much you believe you have saved for retirement. Do you still owe taxes on that money? If you do, that could take a big bite out of your nest egg. Financial advisor Scott McLean and his team at McLean Advisory Group understand the importance of tax planning and can help you reduce the impact that Uncle Sam has on your retirement. Give them a call today to start working on your retirement tax plan. 609-488-4646. Create a plan today so that you can get as many slices of your retirement pie as possible. Call Scott McLean at 609-488-4646 today and schedule your retirement tax analysis. That's 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities. Firm may not give tax advice.
And when you pay down debt, you don't pay down the highest interest rate. The biggest mistake is you pay the highest interest rate card when you should do the snowball effect of paying down debt.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
There is so much excitement around starting a brand new phase of life with your retirement. But if you're relocating to your dream retirement home, downsizing to a smaller house or condo, or simply wanting to declutter, for this new time of life, you've got to face getting rid of stuff. And when it comes to confronting your possessions later in life, retired professor David Eckert literally wrote the book on the subject.
You really can't delegate the management of paper to other people. You have to look at all of it. And one piece of paper can stop you for hours because you'll discover something that needs to be done or somebody who needs to be contacted. And hours of work on paper really doesn't reduce the volume of things that are in, for example, a desk or a kitchen, but it has to be done. So that would be a great place to start.
So that was Eckert talking about how that, accumulating things, that's just a natural part of life. But in his book, he says at some point, all this has to come out and it can feel overwhelming. And that's where he says those piles of paper in your house, a good place to start when you're trying to organize.
You can get so caught up in mail. You're looking through it. Get to the point. What's your focus? What's your time spent on? And it could rip apart. I mean, time is so precious. It is so powerful. And as you get older, it becomes more precious. And you'll understand that, Alex, since you're a young man. But when you get older, the question is, how much time? Where should I spend my time? Maybe it should be, for many of us listening to the station and me as well, get to the gym. Spend time there versus going through papers and papers and papers. Again, get your stuff in order. Maybe get your kids involved. And if somebody in the estate, when they talk about the dollars, the dreams, the dollars, and of course the dynasty, maybe get your kids involved when it comes to your estate. But when it comes to getting your stuff and your downsizing, this has an emotional attachment where people put it off or they don't want to get to it. And they get to sort through the belongings. This could be a lot of stuff. When I hear people want to move out of their house and downsize, Alex, you just mentioned, the hardest part is sorting through all that stuff.
Yep.
And other people say a cuss word, but we'll just say stuff, because it just keeps adding up. And then your memory, you look at all this stuff and you try to put it away like these hoarders on TV. It has an emotional attachment. You know what? Let's get new emotion.
Yep.
Let's change. Let's not look at history. Let's look at the future. What could it look like and feel like? And again, as he was saying, you get so caught up in the paperwork and this and that, put it aside, get to it. And maybe you're just stop looking at this crap, be done with it. But again, the emotional attachment and sorting through belongings, this could really stop you from downsizing.
Yeah. So Scott, you're saying I don't have to keep every single drawing and little coloring that my son has done? You're saying I could throw some of that away?
For those of you who are acting like Alex, being a knucklehead right now, the answer is yes, you can keep them. With the new phones, Alex, you can take a picture, then throw it out. So if you have to go back to it,
smart.
You can just look at the pictures. Meanwhile, you're wasting flipping time looking, and now what do I do with it? Where do I put it? How do I file it? And you end up going nowhere. Your mental brain just gets stuck in this loop getting nowhere, and that's just double dumb.
No, you are completely right. If you need help, if you need the green light from Scott to throw something away or to take a picture of it so you can keep it, the number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. And Scott, obviously, you're not showing up to somebody's house to help them, organize all the knickknacks. But, people do have financial statements. They got a lot of financial documents. Can you play a role in helping someone organize that stuff?
Yeah, it's so important to understand where the money is and, of course, where it came from. If you're changing advisors from one advisor to another advisor, maybe you keep a year of documents back. A lot of documents now online. Every single company has it. Well, I guess they all have it online with their PDF file. You can save that, categorize it, and put it there if you have to have it. Sometimes you need to go back and look at some old trades and some things. Maybe something got messed up. But again, you can have that. But again, sort through that. If you haven't looked at it and touched it, why do you now want to keep going back? Well, just in case I need to. Okay, well, just in case you need to, then you file it away and don't look at it again until you need it. And then categorize it for those people who really are so detail-oriented. And there's a lot of smart, beautiful people that way. That's why they call them, these people, librarians. They have the master's degree. Well, you got to categorize your stuff. But again, the emotional attachment, sorting through the belongings, you think you got a lot of stuff, can be life-changing. And then, of course, when you want to downsize, it could stop you from downsizing. You really got to prioritize what's really important to me now, what's important to my family now, and what's important to me in the future. because I myself is hard to throw away stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
And I've got books. My wife says, Scott, throw away these stupid books. You can get them online. I just had some good chapters in there. And she'll say to me, when's the last time you picked up that book? Well, I won't answer her because she's got me. I'm in a pickle. So those of you, if you got a wife like mine who is a lovely lady, or a husband, maybe a husband, and they're giving you some voices of reason, there's no sense fighting it because you're in a corner and you can't get yourself out of it. Just make a decision and move forward, because I can tell you the emotional, the attachment, the belongings you have, and getting rid of it, you're going to get stuck and you can't move forward.
Well, and Scott, I'm sure you've seen this before where somebody thinks they have a financial strategy, but what they really have is a pile of statements or a shoebox full of account information. And so this kind of cleanup process can also help unveil, what does the person really have anyways?
That is so important, because when you do, reviews with clients and you meet with people and say, let me find where you're at, you start asking questions, the 3D approach, the dreams, what you want. And you start asking detailed questions, and they find out, Scott, I want to thank you for a second opinion, because my financial guy really never asked those questions. I said, well, let's dive down deeper, because this is important as we talk about their dreams. And we talk about their dreams, which leads to the dollars, because we find out that maybe they suffocated their dreams because they don't know where to get the dollars. Or maybe they haven't followed through with their dreams because they didn't have a concrete plan. Well, this is really important to discuss this, not on a every 3 or 4 or 5 years. Are you on your plan? Are you working out? Are you getting stronger? Are you losing weight? Are you watching it? Are you monitoring it? It's the same thing with the finances. Are we moving ahead or not?
And Scott, if you would for me, give me that phone number again, and what happens when folks make that call?
When people give us a call, you can give our studios a call, 609-488-4646. Ask for Laura. And if you've been listening to my station for over, 12, 13, 14 years, Bonnie was here. Bonnie is retired now, moved on to greener pastures, which I hate her for because I love her to death. But anyway, she's on to greener pastures. And so I'm so pleased to have Laura help us for those new people listening to us. She'll help put you in my book, and I love to talk to you. If I'm available right away, she'll put you in. But again, we'll take a 10, 15-minute phone call and get your questions formulated. Write them down. And then what I would encourage you is, what do you want to get out of that phone call? Time is valuable. I want to give you as much meat and potatoes as I can when you ask a question. And if I don't know the answer, I can promise you I will find the answer or lead you to someone that'll help you that answer. And you can get me by 609-488-4646. Again, it's real simple. Give us a call, 609-488-4646. Very simple phone number right here in Waretown, New Jersey, right across the street from Dunkin', or down the street from Dunkin' Donuts and ShopRite, right here, a beautiful area of Waretown, New Jersey. Hey, I look forward to speaking. Don't put this off. Planning is planning. Not planning could be failure, and it could cost you a lot of money.
Absolutely. Well, decluttering and downsizing are a few of the non-financial challenges of preparing for retirement. More to come here on Financial Insanity.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money, but do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At McLean Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the McLean Advisory Group team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies are not associated entities.
I call it the chicken and the egg. The chicken is the investment. The egg is the dividend. And so when the chicken pops out the eggs, if you don't need the money, let's reinvest the eggs and buy more chickens.
Man, that's just an excellent analogy, Scott.
We made it back. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
There's so much excitement around starting a brand new phase of life with your retirement. And as we're talking about today, well, decluttering, downsizing, those are some non-financial challenges of preparing for retirement, but challenges that they are for sure. And retired Professor David Eckert wrote the book, Downsizing, talks about just this and time in life when you have to confront the stuff that we've accumulated over the years. David says while it is a challenge, he says it's a good feeling to declutter, donate, and downsize.
And we studied people in over 100 households in the Midwest. People with large households and people with very modest households. Almost everybody was glad after they moved that they had been able to downsize, and they felt very good about what they did. They felt empowered.
And you can get that. We all can, right, Scott? I mean, it's scary to tackle all that, but man, when you're on the other side, you got a lot of clarity and you're feeling accomplished.
When you get rid of the emotional attachments and you sorting through all your stuff, as we spoke about earlier in downsizing, and this creates a life change, a lifestyle change. So your focus should be focused on what is it going to look like to have a smaller house? How great would it be less mowing the yard for some of you? Maybe it's living out in the country like I do. You know, this uncertainty about the future, that could be exciting for some people, but where it starts really in creating something that you can lean on, something like maybe it's a budget, or maybe you know where your money's coming from, and it's solid in your mind how the money's going to be coming out. Maybe your financial concerns, your downsizing could really help save money. Now you can go out and do more things, travel more. Maybe your estate planning. There's nothing better when I see people, they come into our office, we talk about legacy planning, and now we take care of their will, their power of attorney, their living will, their irrevocable trust, why we want to protect their assets from the nursing homes, put those into different areas. Maybe you're downsizing or you're changing your business. You want to pass your business on to your kids. Putting this off causes more trouble. But as you real clearly said, clarity gives you empowerment. Empowerment moves you forward. So now you're moving from this 7,000 square foot house, or some of you, 2,000 square foot, and you're moving to a smaller house. No big deal. Who cares about that? The Joneses and the Jeffersons, they're not paying your bills. You are. So what greatness, how great would it be to have an extra $1,000 a month of expendable money? How great would it be to have an extra $300 a month for some of you, or maybe $200? I don't know what your number is, but when you do your budget, when you do the estate planning and you put your legacy planning, and then we have the end of life, how do we protect all these goodies? We talk about the dreams, the dollars, and the dynasty. We talk about this all, but the biggest problem I've said over and over in my book is nothing worse than putting your head in the sand and have your vitals exposed. What are your vitals? Your assets, your money, your families, the estate, probate. You know, the crows and the clowns show up at the funeral. So these are the things that stop you. But what are the things to help you get going? A clear, concise plan with looking to the future. How great would it be looking down the line where now you're excited about the new move? Thinking about it with a different mindset. This is where people have the problems, where I notice so often the different mindset of moving. And I can tell you, we're in America. We can go wherever we want. It's a beautiful thing. If you'd like to talk about that, maybe you're stuck in the muck and say, how do I make this retirement work? We look at the dollars and then the legacy, but it's about the dream. 609-488-4646. I'd love to speak to you off the air. No cost, no obligation. Again, if you'd like to talk about the dynasty, make sure you ask Laura for our chapter 11 of my book. We talk about the dynasty, how to set up your estate. 609-488-4646. Now, here's the problem. Don't procrastinate. Give me a call off the air, 609-488-4646. No cost, no obligation, just great information.
Absolutely, Scott. And people procrastinate when it comes to, well, a lot of things, but with all that stuff in their house, they're putting it off. And Well, there's just things, Scott, that it's tough to procrastinate, and you're gonna encourage people not to when it comes to things like creating a budget, legacy planning, end of life planning, financial planning in general. These are all things that people can put off. And why do people put this stuff off, Scott?
It's easy.
Yeah,
it's easy to put things. It's like everybody wants to lose weight, so they go to the gym for a few weeks until the pain comes on. The hell, I'm not going to do that again. Screw that. I'm not going working out. That hurts too much.
Right.
It's easy to think how you see these good, lean, mean people on TV, and you want to get that way, and you visualize that. Oh man, that'd be great until the pain comes in. Well, the question is, you got to work through the pain. No one wants to go through pain. No, none of us. I'm going through the PT through my knee, and it's been really, really challenging. You think I want to go to this daggum doctor to make pain? No, I want to walk normal, like with this stupid limp. You know what? So I'm going to seek out what makes me work out, what's going to make it really comfortable in the long run. Mm-hmm. Short-term pain could be a long-term of enjoyment. And so for those people putting financial, maybe it's time to change advisors. I don't know. Maybe you want a second opinion. I don't know. Maybe you say, you know what? Am I in the right spot? Maybe it's time to pick up the phone and just say, let's dial 609-488-4646. Why? Just to get a fresh opinion, a different opinion. Not to say you've got to work with Scott McLean and McLean Advisory Group, but to say, you know what? Are we on track? Because there's a lot of stress methods to put on a portfolio to see if we have another black swan event. Could that eat your money away? Could there be another drop in the market? Could we be going to war? Could this happen? All these negative things hit your mind, and then you end up doing what? Not doing anything. Procrastination is the disaster. So again, no cost, no obligation, just great information by dialing 609-488-4646. If I can help you, I'm here for you. I guess I've been doing this radio shows what's now 15 years now with WBNJ. We're a proud supporter of them. It's an education radio show. People love it to death. I've heard, they love it, and I'm so glad to be on it. And Bill's done a wonderful job in helping our company get the information, the education. And I can tell you, we've never tried to sell people over the phone, in person, or on any products. They just come in and get information. If this is a place for you, hey, this might be the best place ever for your next phase in life.
That number, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. And one thing, Scott, is that people just get so emotional as we're talking about downsizing today, getting rid of stuff. But people have emotional ties to their belongings, to their stuff. And so that can be difficult to go through it at all or to get rid of stuff. But also, Scott, when it comes to people's finances, people get very emotional when it comes to financial decisions. And I think, having a person like you come in to help plan and to have that outside voice who doesn't have all that emotion tied to their money can really just help folks and not be alone in all this, because it can be very overwhelming.
You have a few factors. We all do. Factor number one, when you read the book on psychology of investing or psychology of money, which I've read several books, the psychological factors that really stop people, the mental condition, this is real, whether it's the obsessive compulsive disorder, or maybe you have the attention deficit disorder, you can't stay focused. This psychological factor can really, really hurt you. This is why maybe get your kids to help come in, or maybe your wife or your husband or someone else outside to get a second opinion, or get someone else help change your thinking. Psychological, that makes you stop. You have emotional attachment. We're so deeply, and you said it, Alex, so many times, we're so deeply attached to maybe, let's say, our old financial advisor, but he or she maybe have moved on, or maybe they only focus on the growth, not income. Or maybe they're not looking at your will, power of attorney, living will. They're not looking at taxes and how the ramification of taxes. And they're only looking at finances. So the emotional attachment to the finances, because you've been with the advisor for so many years, but they haven't looked at the full picture. They didn't take the 3D approach. The 3D approach is so critical on those three areas. And then you think, well, I'm wasting time by getting a second or third opinion. Again, psychological factor, emotional factor, and the fear of wasting someone's time or your time. Well, you know what? If all we have is time in retirement, how are you wasting it or how are you investing it? If you're not investing it, you're probably wasting it. And I can tell you, in this business now, since 1982, licensed in 83, done this for a few years now, I can tell you the information changed so much from those years to now, and the traumatic experience people faced will make decisions different. And so I say that very cautiously for you out there. Had you invested in 1929 to 1950, the market went nowhere. You probably would never want to go on the market because you saw it just take a tank. And those people investing from 1982 to 2000, the market went nothing but up. So the psychological aspect for those people in 1982, get in the market. For those people in the market 1929 to 50, stay out of the market. This psychological effect can really traumatize your portfolio because you don't know which brain. You have a devil on one side and an angel on the left. What are you listening to? Let's look at the entire facts, because the psychological and emotional attachment could be the fear of wasting your money away and your time. Let's push forward as you're downsizing and really benefit you, your spouse, your significant other, your children, your charity, by not putting it off. And I'd love to help you. 609-488-4646. That was how you get a hold of me. Ask for Laura and say, Laura, I want to get in Scott's book. I want to have a quick phone call. Let's just have a quick discussion. No cost, no obligation, just great information. 609-488-4646. I'd love to talk to you guys, and I appreciate the time of you listening to this show.
Absolutely. And we know that nearly 70% of Americans are missing a written financial plan. But we also know people without a plan tend to feel less confident about their future. And so just what you were talking about there, Scott, people put this off. It's hard to address. Sometimes it's hard to get that real. But then if you don't address it, then you're not going to be confident about your financial future. And so it's why it's so important to come in and get guidance from somebody like Scott. That number again, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646, ada.com for the website. Well, good stuff. And when we come up, we're going to hear about somebody else in the area who's helping folks. We're going to hear from Robert Brown, who's going to talk about some benefits that you might not know you have.
Oh, that's great.
What if you ordered a pizza, but when you opened the box, a couple pieces were missing? That would be upsetting, right? Now think about how much you believe you have saved for retirement. Do you still owe taxes on that money? If you do, that could take a big bite out of your nest egg. Financial advisor Scott McLean and his team at McLean Advisory Group understand the importance of tax planning and can help you reduce the impact that Uncle Sam has on your retirement. Give them a call today to start working on your retirement tax plan. 609-488-4646. Create a plan today so that you can get as many slices of your retirement pie as possible. Call Scott McLean at 609-488-4646 today and schedule your retirement tax analysis. That's 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities. Firm may not give tax advice.
Frankly, you could have your grandkids tweet out to your friends or go on the Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is and say, I got great information from Scott.
And you left out TikTok there as you're rambling off the different social media being used by the kids today. You got to remember that TikTok.
Oh, that's right. Tickety-tock.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group.
Veterans in this country that have sacrificed so much. Let's talk today about a program aiming to provide assistance to these veterans who need help with daily activities and medical expenses. This is Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman, alongside Scott McLean, and a special guest today. We have former Chief Petty Officer Robert Brown, retired Navy, for over 20 years. And now Robert is serving as a Veterans Service Officer for us now. And so very important, very special topic here today. Scott, thank you so much for bringing in Robert. Robert, first off, thank you so much for your service, and very excited to talk about a particular benefit today. And Robert, Scott, if you would maybe talk a little bit about how you guys got together. What's your quick history? And then if we could delve into that benefit.
It's funny because I got involved in this program, and one of our lawyers is a veteran receiving 100% benefit like Robert is. And Robert heard me, I guess, on the radio, one of our shows we did. And he came into my office. I heard you on the radio. What are you doing with veterans? And I thought it was someone trying to mess up the program, trying to drill me down. Do I know what I was talking about?
Right.
But frankly, Dave Conley mentioned to me, Scotty, you want to learn more about it? I said, well, there's a class out in Kansas City. I was going to go out there. It's like $2,500. I flew out there, took a course, and I added it to my financial planning program because of the unique benefits that veterans are unaware of, and spouses in New Jersey and several other states that could really help and benefit their estate. For example, if we're doing estate planning, I could actually really help prevent their money from going to the nursing homes. I call it the crows and the clowns show up at the funeral. And so in doing that, I actually started this program, and I came back, I was juiced up, and I said, I got to add this to my estate planning, which then goes into irrevocable trusts, special grantor trusts, and other types of special needs trusts. For this program, I merged it into my tax practice as well as my financial practice. Robert came in and drilled me down and wanted to know if I knew what I was talking about. And frankly, we hit it off pretty well. Is that right, Robert?
It is. It is. When I approached Scott, because of my experience as a veteran service officer, I asked him quite out. I said, Scott, what do you know about benefits? Because I'm the service officer. What I said, and if you think you know, then we're going to talk about this, because I need to test your knowledge and see if we could work together. So obviously the match was made in heaven there. Yep. And we've been attached to the hip ever since with working with veterans for these disabilities that many people don't know about. So we're here to help explain that.
And we got together, and I guess it was 2008, Robert, and that's when we started this journey. Yeah. And the journey was not to make money out of this program, was to help our clients to avoid the estate taxes, estate planning, prevent the benefits from whittling down to the nursing homes, because the veterans and or their spouses have paid the price, Alex.
Yeah. And Scott McLean, like you mentioned, you opened up that Veterans Benefit Advisory Group back in 2008. Great passion you have for helping veterans and their spouses learn about these important benefits. And if you would, Robert, let's talk about the topic of the day here, VA's aid and attendance pension benefit. How does someone qualify for that, Robert?
Absolutely. Well, a couple of things. First of all, the veteran had to have served during wartime in order to get any of these benefits. So I'm going to kind of give the big picture overview. If someone needs aid or attendance of some nature, that's what this plan is for. That's obviously the name of the title, but you have to prove and justify what aid or attendance you need in order to do that. So the first qualifying piece is the veteran have to have served during a wartime period for at least 1 day of active service, active duty, can't be National Guard or Reserves, had to have been active duty and in a wartime situation, not necessarily at the war site, so to speak. World War II, you didn't have to be in Germany. You just had to be serving active duty. You could have been in Fort Dix.
So frankly, they could be, like you said, in Fort Dix. They would never have gone to Vietnam. For our veterans, most of them veteran Vietnam and now Korea. The question is, they weren't there in country. They didn't have boots on the ground, but they could have been serving right here in Lakehurst, and they still qualify for the benefits and their spouses.
That's right. That's right. So thanks for that little clarification. So initially, the veteran has to qualify before the veteran or the spouse or a child, because it's all three here, can get any benefits from the VA based upon the veteran's service. And that's where it begins, is qualifying for there. The person also had to have honorable discharge in order to get the benefit. If they were dishonorable discharge for some reason, then none of the family would qualify. So that's a qualifying situation. And then from there, what are those aid and attendance pension issues that you have what are your disabilities? What are your aid issues? Do you need help in the home or financially or mentally, if you're in your own home, a nursing home, what have you? So there's a number of those.
So, Alex, that's what's really important when you look at this. You have to ask, when I do the intake of people doing the financial planning, I actually ask them, did you serve? And they'll say yes or no. Great. When did they serve? Or listen to me. If you're listening to me right now and your mom or dad in the state of New Jersey, because I know this is aired across the nation, if you served, and each state's different, and you need assistance, perhaps in a nursing home, this is the Aid and Attendance Pension Benefit, that's the name of it, you may qualify for this great benefit that many people not even applying for or didn't know about. And then when you do your estate planning, your advisor should be aware of it. So this is where they should give our studios a call, Alex, at 609 488-4646, because this might be for you. It may not be for you. It may be for your parents. If you're taking care of your mom and dad and you're one of the veteran or the spouse served during this period of time, and we can help you more details. We won't get into the muck right now. This is not an excuse to put it off. This is an excuse not to put it off, but to take action, be proactive. 609-488-4646. We've been doing this for so long, helping people, give them the information they need to take action. And that's why I had worked with Robert, because A, he is 100% disabled veteran. B, his spouse is available for these benefits. And I thought, you know what, and there's nothing better than working with in not textbook theory, but real theory, Alex.
Yeah. Robert Brown, retired Navy, 20 years service. Very happy, appreciative of that service. Chief Petty Officer there in the Navy, Persian Gulf veteran, and now Veterans Service Officer. So continues to serve our great nation. Thank you so much. And I know one thing, Robert, that I think is important is that hopefully it's not overly complicated to apply, or at least to figure out how to apply. Robert, can you talk about that a little bit, the kind of assistance maybe for someone applying? Because that would be a concern about, is this going to be really difficult to
It is. Again, thank you for acknowledging my service. Definitely rewarding, and I appreciate it. And I guess now it's my time to give back after having served, to help those who have served but don't know about these benefits. So when it comes to aid and attendance pension benefit, first thing is do you need aid or attendance? That's a simple question. Do you need wheelchair? Do you need mobility devices? Are you incapacitated? Are you dementia? What's your medical status and mental status to determine that initial medical need? Secondly, it's a financial situation. Do you have assets? Do you not have assets? Where are we financially? Because it's also a financially driven qualifying program. So we need to look at that assets, and that's where Scott comes in and determines funding, how much the allocations we have, if we need to reallocate some funds or spend down some money to qualify. So it takes a little bit of financial awareness to see where we're at, and Scott does that with those irrevocable trusts, as you mentioned,
as well as legal, financial, and legal issues. And the whole thing, Robert. Also, if you get stuck in the muck by thinking the word aid and attendance pension benefit, most people relate to the word pension, that you got to be in the service for 20 years or 30 years to get a pension. But this is basically 90 days of serving in the military, and one of those days have to be during active war. So let's say you joined the military here in 1955, and you joined on January 30th. Well, the benefit ended on January 31st. So you kind of would have been right in there, even though you weren't over boots on the ground, but you had served for 90 days. Go ahead, Robert, especially for those of you taking care of your mom and dad, you may not even be aware of this.
Yeah, and real quickly before Robert, I just want to make sure people know too, if you have any questions, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Robert, please continue.
Okay, thank you. So really the overview is, do you have this need for aid and attendance to be taken care of? And if you do, let's look at the finances, if either you're within the financial range or not. And we could help determine that through through Scott McLean's office here. So we do that. And then essentially what the bottom line is, the VA pays the recipient a financial amount of money, depending on the status, the marital status, the married vet, married and the spouse, alive, deceased, what have you. So depending on the situation, the VA will pay for your aid and attendance pension benefit. Again, pension meaning for the rest of your life, not having to serve 20 years in a service, but the pension becomes yours in the future for the rest of your life. And that's tax-free, by the way. For those that don't know, you don't even pay taxes on that money. You don't even talk about it when you're talking about your accountant. So it's a nice benefit. So obviously, so if you put taxes on there, you'd really be accumulating a lot more money in this pension benefit program.
Alex?
Yeah, and we got about 2 minutes left as we have a great guest on financial insanity today, out of the box thinking for your financial sanity. And we have retired Chief Petty Officer from the Navy, Robert Brown. And he's currently Veterans Service Officer, talking about a great benefit for folks. And just a couple minutes left. What's important for people to know here as we discuss this today?
Well, the important thing is, number one, don't put this off. And Robert obviously knows how to do the paperwork. I as well know how to do it, but he is more very adequate at doing it. He's got 2 master's degrees. He's a brilliant gentleman, even though he's not as good looking as me. I can promise you that.
That's pretty tough.
But I will tell you, don't put this off if you're a veteran. If you're a veteran, the biggest important, Robert, I think, is the DD-214. That's the separation paperwork for those in the military from Korea on forward. And then it's called the separation paperwork if your parents are still alive during World War II. They didn't have a DD-214 at that time. They didn't call that number. They called it a separation form. But that's an important paperwork you got to dig up to talk about this program. Robert?
And then just to clarify some of the older vets that we're talking about, right now we have Department of Veterans Affairs, and we had Department of Defense in this case on the DD, stands for Department of Defense, DD-214. Prior to the Department of Defense taking over the military, some of those older vets may know it as the War Department. It used to be called the War Department. So it's a WD form versus a DD form. Again, acknowledgement of their service discharge, which records that. So again, based on what we're looking for, we need some of those to initially qualify the member as the veteran. The other thing is, I want to talk really quickly about how to get qualified. My uncle served in Vietnam during Agent Orange. He asked me for some help. He asked me that when I was still in the Navy. He just recently got awarded a back pay of $22,000 because of this benefit, but that's only a 1 year ago benefit because we applied 1 year ago, and all those other 20 years he decided not to claim. You cannot get that. It's only from the date of application. So that's very important, is when do we start and when do we get acknowledgement?
So if you're out there and you're a veteran, there's more than the aid and attendance pension benefit. We'll talk about that in the next segment because we're talking about the Agent Orange, Blue Water. We're talking about several things we've been helping people with, and Robert's been really instrumental in helping you, veterans or spouses, get a benefit that you don't know about.
Robert, thank you so much for being a guest today. And more importantly, thank you again for your service and your continued service for our country. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And again, if you have any questions, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. And thank you to all of our great veterans who happen to be listening today to Financial Insanity, out of the box thinking for your financial sanity.
This radio program may contain information which has gone regulatory or other significant changes since its original recording. The information and views expressed on today's show is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment, product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities.
This radio show is a paid placement.
What if you ordered a pizza, but when you opened the box, a couple pieces were missing? That would be upsetting, right? Now think about how much you believe you have saved for retirement. Do you still owe taxes on that money? If you do, that could take a big bite out of your nest egg. Financial advisor Scott McLean and his team at McLean Advisory Group understand the importance of tax planning and can help you reduce the impact that Uncle Sam has on your retirement. Give them a call today to start working on your retirement tax plan. 609-488-4646. Create a plan today so that you can get as many slices of your retirement pie as possible. Call Scott McLean at 609-488-4646 today and schedule your retirement tax analysis. That's 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities. Firm may not give tax advice.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488